Harvard's controversial ties to Chinese Communist Party exposed by Congress. Imagine the shockwaves that rippled through the academic community when a congressional investigation uncovered a web of connections between Harvard University and the Chinese Communist Party, CCP. The revelations, which include Harvard's long-standing role in training future CCP elites, have sparked a firestorm of controversy and raised serious questions about the influence of foreign entities on American institutions. But here's where it gets controversial. Harvard's partnerships with CCP entities have been in place for at least a decade, and the details are only now coming to light. 3 top Republicans, Reps John Moolenaar, Michigan, Tim Walberg, Michigan, and Elise Stefanik, New York, have taken a stand, demanding transparency from Harvard President Alan Garber. In a letter obtained by the Washington Free Beacon, these lawmakers, who chair key committees, have called for a thorough investigation into these partnerships. The letter, which you can read here, details whistleblower accounts of Harvard Kennedy School's alleged CCP ties. What you need to know. In a striking move that has raised many eyebrows, House Republicans have targeted a now discontinued training program to accuse the Harvard Kennedy School, HKS, of having connections with the Chinese Communist Party, CCP. This controversy revolves around a letter sent on Wednesday to Harvard President Alan M. Garber, 76, by a Republican-led House committee. The letter alleges that Harvard engaged with an organization linked to the CCP, a serious charge that adds fuel to ongoing debates about the university's foreign partnerships. This letter stems from an investigation that began in May, conducted by the House Select Committee on the CCP. The committee's broader mission is to scrutinize Harvard's ties to groups allegedly affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party, and this probe is just one among several congressional inquiries focused on the university's international dealings. Earlier in the investigation, Republicans announced the CCP probe would focus on 2 main allegations. First, that Harvard School of Public Health had hosted individuals connected to a Chinese paramilitary group at certain events. And second, that some Harvard faculty members were working with Chinese researchers on studies potentially linked to military applications. However, the Wednesday letter refrains from mentioning these original accusations. Instead, it shifts spotlight onto the Harvard Kennedy School, singling it out for allegedly training top-tier Chinese government officials through a formal partnership with the Chinese Executive Leadership Academy, Pudong, CELAP. Committee Chair John R. Moolenaar, R. Michigan, wrote in the letter that this partnership purportedly equips rising CCP elites, those being groomed for senior roles within the Communist Party, with training at Harvard in the United States. A letter was co-signed by 2 influential Republicans, Tim Walberg, Mich., chair of the House Committee on Education and the Workforce, and Elise M. Stefanik, 06, New York, chair of the House Republican Conference. The letter demands that Harvard submit any documents linking it to the CCP and detail any financial transactions or benefits received from CCP-related entities by the following Friday. While a spokesperson from the Kennedy School confirmed receipt of the letter, they declined to offer any further comment on its content at this stage. This isn't Harvard's first time hearing such charges. The narrative accusing Harvard of improper foreign associations has become a recurring theme, especially under the Trump administration, which has aggressively campaigned to reduce the university's funding and academic standing. In fact, when President Donald Trump issued a proclamation in June banning international students at Harvard from entering the U.S., he again emphasized these alleged Chinese ties, echoing the committee's grievances. It's important to recognize that congressional scrutiny of Harvard's links to the CCP predates President Trump's recent actions. For example, in October last year, the same House Select Committee on the CCP investigated the Kennedy School's inconsistent disciplinary responses to an anti-CCP protest in April 2024. Additionally, starting as early as 2020, members of the House have been investigating the Chinese funding that Harvard receives, a subject that continually raises concerns about academic independence and national security. Surprisingly, before this letter, The Kennedy School itself hadn't been a central target of Republican criticism, despite having 86 Chinese students enrolled last fall. By comparison, Harvard as a whole hosts more than 1,200 international students from China, underscoring the university's extensive connections with the country. According to Moolinar's letter, whistleblowers have revealed the alleged partnership between HKS and CELAP, which is based in Shanghai's Pudong district and operates under the supervision and funding of the Chinese government. While CELAP doesn't openly advertise any relationship with Harvard, evidence exists of a 2013 visit to CELAP by Harvard students and Stephen Kellman, a professor at HKS. Adding another layer to this story, Feng Jun, the executive vice president of CELAP, graduated from a now-defunct Harvard Kennedy School program called China's Leaders in Development, which once offered training for senior Chinese officials. Feng Jun has praised HKS as a model institution for CELAP, suggesting a degree of ideological alignment or at least inspiration. Requests for CELAP's response to these allegations have so far gone unanswered. To understand the background, the China's Leaders in Development program was a well-known partnership launched in 2001 between Harvard and Tsinghua University, designed specifically to provide leadership training to senior Chinese government officials. Interestingly, according to sources familiar with the partnership, every participant in this program was vetted by the U.S. State Department. They also engaged regularly with members of the U.S. Congress and senior White House officials, some of whom later served in the Trump administration. However, Harvard discontinued the program in 2016 amid growing concerns that the Chinese government was becoming increasingly repressive at home and more assertive internationally, a decision reflecting the complex and evolving geopolitics surrounding U.S. China academic exchanges. And here's the part most people miss. While partnerships like these started with mutual diplomatic and educational goodwill, they have since become battlegrounds for concerns about influence, national security, and academic freedom. Could training China's future leaders in American institutions ultimately backfire? Are such collaborations more beneficial than harmful, or vice versa? These are questions that stir deep debate among policymakers, educators, and the public alike. What do you think? Is Harvard's past involvement with Chinese government programs a reasonable part of academic cooperation, or a risky entanglement that should be strictly avoided? Share your thoughts and join the conversation below. Harvard under investigation for ties to Chinese Communist Party. Imagine a world where one of the most prestigious universities in the United States is under investigation for its alleged ties to a foreign government. Sounds like the plot of a spy thriller, right? But here's where it gets real. Harvard University is currently facing a congressional inquiry into its connections with entities affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party, CCP. The investigation, led by 3 House Republicans, is seeking to uncover the truth behind Harvard's alleged